Excuse me.
What are you at the theater?
Hey-oh, got him. What are you talking about? The theater is the ideal way to watch a movie. Everybody in that Gucci movie was telling me not about the movie, but how important it was that I watched it in a fucking theater.
I mean, you stream movies in the comfort of your own home, and then you go into the theater once a year, and Matt Damon tells you he's going to kill his family if you don't keep going to the theater.
How about, speaking of Matt Damon, how about that Matt Damon commercial for cryptocurrency? Where he's like, you got to take fucking risks. If you're not taking risks, what's the point of living?
Just like going to your local theater.
I will say, to its credit, like, I think the theater sucks. I never want to go there again. This is something we will talk about in the episode, but I do want to say, just kind of outside of that discussion, I don't know about you, but every time I go to the theater, they always have that thing where they show like a movie playing real tiny on the screen. It says like, if you're watching a movie on TV
and
screen,
then
and then it zooms in, but like the fucking Gucci movie.
Well, that and like, I don't know, I went to a Cinemark and I don't remember the details of it, but I just remember like some Cinemark commercial thing on the previews that was just like, boy, howdy, isn't the theater experience so cool? Like, you can come here and then like, we don't have to fire all these people. Everything felt so like guilt trippy and just like pleading and begging and just like, please don't let movies die.
When I went to see Black Widow, it was like the first movie I saw back in a theater, and it was the like most awkward thing at the beginning where it was like, we're finally back as a family, and it's like people crying in the theater and they're like, we're finally back where we belong, watching movies in a theater. Can you believe we survived on Netflix for a year? Yes. I can. The theater is not that great. I don't need to spend $8 to see this fucking thing on a big screen, especially because, I'm going to say it, I think everything looks worse in a theater. Everything is too dark, and I have a lot of trouble hearing.
How about Adam Driver having the audacity to be like, nothing is better than sitting in the dark with strangers. It makes the experience that much better. What the fuck, Adam Driver? Like, how many of these people? I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I was an actor, I would just be happy that I'm like making movies and like people are watching them and enjoying them. I don't know if I would necessarily be like, you don't watch them right. Sit in a fart box. My movie was meant to be made with popcorn chewing in your ear. Like, why are people
in a fart box?
But I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just so dumb. I would have much rather just watch that in my home. And then they have to listen to Adam Driver being like, this is the way entertainment is supposed to be consumed. And Kit Harington is just like, dude, I was on like 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, like the biggest television event of the season of like the decade. Are you really telling me that my shit isn't good enough because it's not in a theater? Like, people didn't enjoy it appropriately. You know what I mean? Like come on. Especially now when people have like home theaters.
That's the thing that always amazes me with that is they always say like, you can't just watch this on your phone. Like, that's the only other option.
I know.
Like, people don't own TVs or like home theaters or like even just like a moderate TV. The only comparison they ever make, because the only comparison that even starts to make sense, is when they talk about it as if you're watching it on a phone. That's what the stupid, like, if you're watching this movie on a screen this big, they shrink it down to phone size, because even if like that, due to proportions of a giant screen, if that's the size of your home TV, like, you're not going to be sitting this far away from it. It's not going to look that small.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking stupid. But like, that's the thing, is everyone's like, because there was the thing with David Lynch where he's like, you can't watch my stuff on a phone. And I'm like, are that many people really watching things on a phone? Like, I do at work, but like, I save things that I feel require my attention for a TV. And like, I don't need a screen that big with the weird dim lights on where I can't see stuff when it gets too dark and I can't make out what people are saying and I can hear the rumbling of fucking Star Wars Force Awakens next door.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence, for I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known, the danger of
the Watchers of Earth. 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I'm your host, Andrew, and joining me as always is my co-host, Seth.
Uh-huh.
Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today, but he would like to tell you that if you are listening to this podcast off your phone, then you're doing it wrong. You need to sit in the room with us as it was intended.
Buy a vinyl of our podcast.
Buy a vinyl of our podcast. Oh, what a fucking joke. Our fourth co-host, Uatu, is here, but he has sworn only to watch and never interfere.
So today we watched episode 0, probably episode 408 of the movies, Eternals, which originally premiered. I should learn this by now. Do you have it? Why doesn't it tell me the fucking date?
This originally, when you say premiere, do you want like the release date or like the premiere date?
This originally released November 5th, 2021. In it, the saga of the Eternals, a race of immortal beings who lived on Earth and shaped its history and civilizations. These IMDb summaries are getting whack. So, Andrew, and it's what did you think? When it's not a TV show, this is a better product. This is the golden screen, not the silver screen like Kit Harington and Game of Thrones for 8 years.
In a true sense or less, I have never seen anything that needed to be a TV show as much as this did. I thought, honestly, when it's all said and done, I think it's fine. Completely forgettable, but not really bad. It's slow. It's paced weirdly. It's sloppy. It has too many characters and too many pieces. But I think in a TV show where each character kind of gets an episode to focus on them and explain their deal and what their fucking power was, because some of them I didn't know. I couldn't figure it out and I couldn't keep track of everybody. Like, if it had a TV show, I think it paced better. I think some of these payoffs that it does would have worked better because they just like reintroduce a character out of left field and then go like, here we go. And Kit Harington is like not in the movie. For knowing that he was the Black Knight, he has nothing to do with the movie until he's at the very beginning and he could have been any schmuck. And then at the end, he's like, I have a secret to tell you. And then that doesn't matter. And then he has the end credits bit where he almost picks up a magic sword. But I mean, in the end, it's fine. Sentence or less, it's fine. Should have been a TV show. Not bad, not good either. It's completely middle of the road for me. What about you? You hated it. Did not need to watch it in a theater. Let me tell you that.
Did not need to watch it in a theater. I mean, he said a lot of what I was thinking. My main thing is that, okay, I'm going to sound hypocritical here, but here we go. So I think it does some fine things. It has its problems and stuff like that. And I think, like, the character stuff is fine, whatever, but this movie is so boring and slow.
Yes.
Them fighting the Divergents, or the Deviants, aren't interesting, but them just sitting around talking is also not interesting, and the whole movie is just so boring and long. I mean, there was a couple times where I was just like, if I was sitting in the comfort of my own home, I could look at my clock and be like, oh my god, I got 4 hours left. But here, I'm just like, I really hope more than a half hour has passed. But it's just, I agree that I wonder why it was a movie. Probably because TV is lesser media.
And I think this has been in production for, at least in the planning stages of, we are intending to make an Eternals movie before they had really decided to take that step into TV. And the TV has been lower stakes, lower. I think this production and everything, I think, is a little high for a TV. I think Disney could easily do it on Disney Plus, but I feel like the justification for it comes with it being in a theater. But, I mean, it is simultaneously too much and not enough. There's a lot going on in this movie, good or bad. There's just a lot of moving parts, a lot of characters. The story feels kind of big, but it feels like it doesn't earn getting there because while it is too long, it's not long enough to earn any of the stuff it gets to. It introduces all these characters very quickly and then kind of tries to tell you that, oh, and now they've changed and here's where they are now. And it just,
I think and I mean, maybe we should just get into it, but when they reveal that Ajax died, I was just like, okay, she was in the movie for 3 minutes.
When they revealed that Ajax died, I kind of had the same thing, but I was also just like, of course she's dead. This is a show where everybody was together a long time ago, and now they're finally meeting up after time has passed. They always meet up after one of them is dead. That's what all of these things do. Watchmen, Umbrella Academy,
Umbrella Men, Watch Academy. No, but I think I also don't think it helps, or it does not help that I think the first half of this, up until she dies maybe, feels so haphazardly sporadic because they just kind of they're like, here we are, we're in Mesopotamia in 500 BC and now we're in London present day, but then we also have to tell you that they're still guiding the course of history, but then they're all getting together for the first time and Ajax there, neat, and then we go back to Pompeii or whatever and then we're back and Ajax dead and I'm just like, who the fuck, what is happening?
At the beginning I was content. Let's just jump in. At the beginning, I was content to kind of, for a long period, up until basically the plot actually starts, I was kind of content for it to just kind of do what it was doing. Like, I was just assuming that it was going to, like, pieces are going to fall into place, and I would, like, understand what was going on. And so I was fine. Like, the jumping around in time was a little confusing, but I was following it well enough to just be like,
I think my biggest problem, I mean, it's
the problem with me is it doesn't pay off. Like, it just kind of like introduces a bunch of stuff and then just kind of like abandons a lot. Like, it abandons a lot. Like you said, Ajax is barely a thing before we learn that she's dead, and then we get a couple more scenes with her in flashbacks. But in the end, I don't know who she was. I don't really know what her power was. She could heal, but like some of them seem to have more than one power, and then some of them don't. And then like Kingo is there for a good chunk of the movie, but at the end he full on just leaves and is never seen again. I kept waiting for him to show back up. I mean, he does after the movie's over, but like he full on just leaves and he never appears again.
Like I was saying, they all meet together for the first time. They go to like China or something, don't they?
Maybe.
It's like after the deviant attacks them in London. And they're like, oh, we're getting the gang back together. And then they go and hang out for like a tiny bit. And everyone's like, you're home. My family's home. We're all together. And that's like a 2-second scene. And then like the next scene, Ajax is dead. And then it like tries to manipulate us by at the end when Cersei is going to the volcano. Sprite makes like a little illusion of Ajax. And it's just like, I don't care about her. She hasn't done anything. Like, they've only just kind of been like, she's like our mom. And it's just like, I guess. And I felt that, okay, so I don't have a huge knowledge of the Eternals. I know, like,
I was going to ask you, you're more of the cosmic guy.
I like cosmic stuff. Eternals just never really made it on my radar. I was excited for Celestials and things like that. I knew, like, honestly, like, the first thing that I was like, hey, I know that thing was Pip the Troll.
Yes.
I was like, hey, neat, Pip. But it's something that, like, it doesn't make any sense, I feel. Do you agree?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, Arishem, or whatever is... I can't think of it.
The Celestial?
Yeah, Arishem.
I think it is.
It is. I just looked it up. Okay, so Arishem created the Eternals to propagate life, and he created the Deviants to kill life.
No, so, I mean, yes, but he created the Deviants to take out apex predators so that life could thrive on planets, but then the Deviants, for some reason, were able to evolve by killing things. That's, I mean, I guess technically it's a certain type of evolution, but that's like Pokemon evolution rather than true evolution. But they're able to evolve, and then they become predators themselves and start killing out the species that they're supposed to be allowing to thrive. So he created the Eternals to take out the Deviants and help a species continue to grow so that they could become sustenance. Somehow their growth develops in eternal because planets are eternal eggs or something.
Yeah, because they birth other Celestials, which then create new universes.
But none of this makes any fucking sense. Why he created the Eternals and gave them, like, free will? I don't know, because he could have, like, they are robots in the end, we learn that they're basically robots. They're just organic robots. Mm-hmm. Like, why he couldn't have just, like, made robots that ran on a program, giving them free will basically ensures that what happens in this movie does happen. I don't understand their different powers, how they have them, what they all mean, what they all do, what they all contribute, because they're all, like, kind of nonsense. Like, Phastos, I could not understand what his power was. He could, like, make holograms to build things.
They're the Justice League.
Maybe he was supposed to be, like, super smart or something. Like, I mean, he is smart, but, like, I couldn't understand what exactly his power did. Like, he could make technology, but then he's like, look, I invented a steam engine. And I'm like, is that really, like... I didn't understand. I just could not wrap my brain around what his ability was and what he contributed, because Salma Hayek, Ajax was like, they got to develop on their own. But then it turns out, like, they're not supposed to like, the Eternal wants them to develop.
Yeah, I don't...
Unless that was her being like, that was when she was starting to have, like,
I know that you know that I know. I think there's... Okay, so my big problem with, God, I can't remember anybody's fucking name.
Ajax, Cersei, Icarus, Kingo, Sprite, Phastos, Macquarie, Druig, Gilgamesh, Thena, Leonardo, Donatello, Mario, Luigi, Star Fox, and Crank.
You know, I didn't realize until the end that was Angelina Jolie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't seen Angelina Jolie in a lot of stuff, and she had a lot of makeup, and I think she probably had a lot of work done. But anyways, I kind of understood people. I didn't have too much problems with people's powers. Again, I kind of spent the whole movie being like, oh, it's the Justice League, because Cersei is like Dr. Fate, and then Icarus is Superman, Athena is Wonder Woman, Phaistos is Green Lantern, and then I ran out of...
I can see that. But I guess from the logistical standpoint of like they were created with a purpose, I didn't understand what they all contributed. Some of them seem to be built for battle. Some of them just seem to be like, I mean, I can understand what Cersei's power and what she contributed. I can understand, while I don't understand how his power works, I understand Phaistos and his contribution. But then, I mean, there's Kingo who can shoot energy from his fingers. But then
Green Arrow.
There's... I don't care who their Justice League counterpart is. Doesn't matter. Icarus can shoot lasers from his eyes and fly. He gets 2 powers for some reason. And they're all apparently, like, super strong. But, like, I don't know. What's the difference between his lasers and Kingo's shooty beams? And then, like, Angelina Jolie, I don't know which... Athena, she can just, like, summon energy weapons. And again, that's fine. But, like, one of these things is not like the other. Like, I don't remember anybody's name. Mockery? Yeah. I'm looking at their names and trying to remember. No, Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is the one that
he punches things.
He's like super strong, but then he also has his own like magic gauntlet things that are kind of like Athena's weapon. Again, when I know that they were all built with a purpose and they're not just like, as we're originally told, they are Eternals from the planet Olympia and they have powers and they live forever and they were recruited to do this thing. Instead, when they are built specifically to do a thing, it's like, why would you give this one this power and not this power? Why? What do some of them contribute that others don't? Like, Sprite, I know she utilizes her powers in a couple different ways, but in the end, like, is she really all that useful compared to having someone else that can shoot a laser or punch these things in the face? Right. Like, she's just a mild distraction in the end. And what's the purpose of making her a small child?
She's just like a power set.
She asks that question, like, if they made me, why would they make me like this? But asking the question is in no way the same as answering the question. And in fact, knowing that the movie drew attention to it, I have to go like, yeah, what is the purpose of making her a child? Especially, again, giving them free will and then putting them one in a condition where they would be bitter. Same thing with, I think it's Mockery is the one that can run super fast. Having her be mute, and I think deaf also. Like, again, knowing that she's built, it's not like min-maxing on a character sheet where you have to, like, if I equip this thing with plus whatever strength, I lose, -2 defense. It's not like he has to allocate stuff from one thing to another. It's just like, I made these beings and gave some of them are better than others. Some of them, like, are missing attributes that others... Like, there's no reason for her... It sounds insensitive, and it probably is in a way. Like, there's no problem with having a superhero with a disability. That said, when the plot and my understanding of their creation and their abilities are written into the movie, then I have to question, like, this was a choice that was made by the Celestial.
Why are they all not Ajax?
Yeah, why are they not all, like... Why is Icarus the only one with 2 powers?
Yeah.
And it's just a weird thing where, like, I don't get it. I don't understand the limits of the Celestial because it seems like the Celestial doesn't really have limits. Like, I'm sure he does.
They work as, like, a team of superheroes, but as, like, a race of, like, bio-androids that a supreme being
were built for a purpose.
For a deliberate purpose of, I guess, advancing life on a planet.
Mm-hmm.
Why not make them all Phaistos, who's apparently like a genius inventor and can just like make things and whatnot. Like, I agree with you, and I think it's really cool that there's like a deaf superhero now. Like, I know I'm supposed to hate the fact that men kiss in this movie, but like it's cool that I like these people better than the Avengers. I think they're more interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I think the power sets, I mean, they're generic. I just went through, like, I think there's a lot of overlap with the Justice League and stuff like that. And it doesn't help that the movie also, like, DC comics exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so it kind of calls it out. But I think they're way more visually interesting. I think they're way more characterly interesting. I think the way they interact is, like, as much as I enjoyed Avengers for being what it was, I think this is, like, a way better, more interesting team. Robert Downey Jr. and the Hulk talking wasn't as interesting as, like, all the stuff I felt with Druig, who was like, why are we letting them kill each other? Like, this is stupid. I'm just gonna, like, wander into the woods for a 2,000 years, and we'll talk later. Like, I know Druig's just like an angsty teen, but like, I thought he was a cool character. I thought he did interesting things. I thought he, like, I mean, even I agree that Kingo just kind of is like, all right, I got other projects to work on, so I'm out of this movie. But like, it was neat to kind of see him just kind of sit there and say, I think Ajax and Sprite are doing the right thing because that's what we need to be doing.
Icarus?
But yeah, I keep getting that mixed up. I think Icarus and Sprite are doing what we need to be doing, but I am done. Like, I'm not going to fight you over it. And then he just leaves.
I thought that was an interesting idea.
It's nice to know, it's nice to see these people kind of have hills they're willing to die on.
And I think that's, again, something that would have worked better in a TV show, where we could have had an episode of Kingo and maybe see why he believes this and why he doesn't want to fight. Not that I need answers to these things, but like, when he effectively leaves the movie until he shows up at
the very end, like nothing happened,
over.
Like he didn't just leave them high and dry, and then...
Yeah, when he leaves the movie, that was an interesting thing to me. The problem is, they don't really do anything with it. It's just an interesting idea there to be an interesting idea. And like, in reality, like, someone leaves and you don't see them again. Maybe there's a fight at Thanksgiving and you don't see anyone again until next Thanksgiving. But like, as far as the movie goes, it felt like he was just like abandoned by the plot, especially because out of all of the characters, he's one of the main ones. We spend a lot of time with him, Icarus, and
his little
Cersei.
valet.
Well, and his valet. But like, they're like the three main characters that we spend the most time with.
They're kind of the glue that are holding everybody else together.
But then he's effectively just gone, and he doesn't really contribute anything.
It also doesn't help that, like, for being the guy who creates, like, machines or something, Phaistos just kind of ends up taking Kingo's role by shooting little energy balls.
Yep.
And I think that was one of my kind of big problems, that I was just thinking, this doesn't seem like this is Phaistos' thing. Like, he does the thing where he holds Icarus down, and I don't really know why he didn't do that when he was, like, yelling and attacking people in the spaceship. But I feel like that's his shtick, is just, like, containing.
Non-confrontational actions.
Yeah. Like, he's the smart guy. I agree. I think, you know, we both said that this movie is slow, this movie is kind of boring. It also feels weirdly rushed in that things aren't given enough breathing room to develop.
Another thing, much like Kingo, on the opposite end, the deviants are not a thing. Like, they are like the MacGuffin that drives everyone forward for a while.
They're so boring.
But they are nothing. And then you learn that one of them is like absorbing powers, and when he absorbs Gilgamesh, he becomes human and speaks, and he's like, I'm going to kill all you Eternals because we were just a tool and you killed us, and you're also a tool, but like, I'm mad at you for this, so I'm going to do revenge. And then he leaves, and then, I'm not kidding, this is not even remotely an exaggeration, I completely fucking forgot about the deviants. I was just like, Icarus is the villain
until the end.
Up until it came out of the ocean or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, the deviants are a thing. I guess this is going to pay off, and it doesn't. He like shows up, and then he basically just pulls Thena away, and they have their own little fight, which basically just amounts to like kind of a character moment for her. Not necessarily a good one, but like, that's what it is.
I mean, she wanted the revenge on... Yeah, she wanted the revenge.
Yeah, she has some revenge, and she has like a bit of like kind of regaining a bit of her memory and clarity during their fight.
Well, that was another thing. She has the word or whatever, the mind disease, until everyone realizes that the Celestials are bad, and then she's
fine.
I'm fine.
She has like one moment where she like summons her weapon, and then I don't remember who it is turns to her and is like, oh no, she's gonna fight. And I'm like, well, you're also like staring at Icarus or whoever the hell it was you're about to fight, so like maybe she's just summoning her weapon in for that. But like, that doesn't matter. I thought the deviant was gonna be a thing. Like, he was gonna be like, you know, usually like, you know, we're almost about to win, you know, we got Icarus down, but like, we didn't account for the deviant coming in and mucking up plans. But like, the deviant basically removes himself and Thena from the plot for a while so they can go fight in a cave, and then he dies.
Plus, like, when they're in the Amazon before Gilgamesh is taken, I guess. Well, I guess after. It attacks Ajax, or fucking Icarus, but it's like doing a really bad job of killing him. He hasn't like held down and is overpowering him. But then we just get like a scene change and that's it. And then they're both just, like, doing their own thing afterwards. Or I think Cersei, like, turns him into a tree. Which was another stupid thing, where I understand that, like, hey, we're connected with, since Tiamat is awakening, like, we're getting stronger. But it seems like only Cersei does that, and she still has, like, the carte blanche of everyone just going, how'd you do that? And she's just like, I don't know.
Well, I think in the movie's defense, that's because she has the, like, orb that Ajax had in her.
But isn't
so it,
that
like, directly connects her?
But, like, afterwards, when Phaestos takes it out and makes the rings, she just tells Sprite to, like, I'll turn you human. I can do that now.
Yeah, that's just, like, an amplification of her power.
But again, does she still... So, Phaestos doesn't use the Celestial Ball to make the bands.
I don't understand your question. He does.
And then he puts it back.
I agree. No, I agree with you that the bands allow everybody to, like, tap into each other or something. They're, like, unified.
Yeah.
And only... I agree. At the end of the movie, only Cersei uses it. The way you had phrased it originally was your questioning of how she does the tree thing, and that is before all of this happens.
Yeah.
She's the only one connected, and that's why she's able to
That's
do it.
just...
I thought it was kind of nonsense, but...
That's just more... That started my problem with Cersei just kind of getting Deus Ex Machina powers.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole kind of ending. I kind of shut off towards the end.
Well,
the
it
movie's
doesn't
long.
help that, like, so there's this whole thing with the Unimind, which is fine, whatever. And they try and do it, but, like, at the end, everybody just kind of is forced into the Unimind, even Sprite and Icarus, who I didn't think had the bands. So wasn't it the whole thing to make the Unimind?
I was thinking that too, and I thought maybe we would see Kingo or something, but we don't. I thought maybe that was where Kingo was going to come into play again somehow.
And, like, I mean, I don't know if you hate this that we didn't go through the plot and we're just kind of talking.
I mean, in the
abstract.
end, what is the plot? There's a bunch of celestial eternal beings that have superpowers. They're the Earth's first superhero team because they showed up.
But I mean, there is a lot. There's, like, stuff in London. There's stuff in the Amazon. There's stuff in...
Yeah, but in the end, all that really matters is, like, a deviant shows up in London. They thought they killed the deviants, like, 5,000 years ago or something.
You say this like I don't have to listen to you say word for word what Claw is doing on a boat. You act like, oh, why would I even bother telling the story? Whereas, like, 10 episodes, I had to sit here and listen to you go on for, like, 30 minutes about, like, okay, well, Claw is trying to get the Wakanda metal that I can't vibranium, and he's shipping it.
Okay, never mind. I was going to say, like, 3 sentences to get us to where we were, but never mind.
I think,
The deviant had a name?
yeah, Deviant Man.
His name was Crow.
You know what I was interested in? Not something as I need to see, but like a Wikipedia article. The effect of the MCU on the MCU Earth.
I will say the one thing I really liked about this movie is at the end when the Eternal is, like, frozen. I don't know what she does. I assume turned it to stone, but it's kind of hard to tell. When the Eternal is, like, frozen,
Celestial.
Bursting out of the earth.
We're doing very well on this one.
Yes. Sorry. Celestial was, like, frozen coming out of the earth. I thought that was neat that there's just, like, a new feature of the earth. It's this, like, Celestial popping out of it.
Well, same thing with,
Just
like, there's a
frozen
big...
in place.
During maybe it was during the Celestial Rising, but I think during the Earthquake too. Like, there's something interesting to me, and I would love to read a Wikipedia article on, like there has to be huge ramifications of just picking up an entire country or city and dropping it. How does the world... I mean, kind of like what we were saying, I think we had said it about What If, where we were talking about, like, what is, like, the Gotham Central stories of the MCU? Like, what are just normal, everyday people just trying to live their lives doing? Like, you have a new feature. You have this frozen celestial out in the ocean, out in the Indian Ocean. You have the city that is no longer kind of rooted in the ground. Like, there's so much stuff that has happened that has permanently altered the Earth's features.
Even outside of that, like, this, like, addresses the Avengers thing, and I don't think it makes any sense, where they're like, why didn't, when Thanos snapped everybody out of the Earth, why didn't you guys come and help? And they're like, well, we were ordered not to. But in the end, like, Ajax specifically says that, like snapping away 50% of all life in the universe set back the celestial emergence.
Well,
Wouldn't that affect their goal? Wouldn't they want to stop Thanos? Because that is, like, their goal is, whether they know it or not, Ajax knows, and the Celestial knows, their goal is to help the Celestial come to be. Thanos may have irrevocably ruined that.
I mean, I guess not irrevocably, because they just...
Well, they undo it in the end, but, like...
Well, even without undoing it, they just...
It takes more time, I guess. But I guess, like, in that time, like, the way it's stated is the celestial, like, it is important that a celestial comes into being, and, like, setting it back by, 50% of its remaining time, that could be a lot.
Which,
granted, in this, we learned that it's only, like, 5 years, so I guess whatever, but
yeah, I mean, even if they didn't reverse the snap, like,
I guess it's 10 years, but it was just the thing where I was thinking, like, I don't know, that felt like a lazy excuse for them not to have your heroes that have been around for a while not show up for the big CGI clusterfuck that they already did.
This also kind of does something that I genuinely don't like, and I didn't like it here, which is like, the Earth is so special. At the end, the Arishem is just like, you guys chose to save the Earth, and like, I'll see if that works out. And I mean, Ajax has her little speech where she's like, the Earth is so special, like they persevere and stuff. Like, it's just something that, I don't know, you probably have no opinion on it. And I have like,
I mean, I
a
do,
weird
but it's
like
like
hill I die on where I'm just like,
it's a comic book and sci-fi staple.
Yeah.
Like, Earth is always unique. There's an episode of Star Trek with like a bunch of different races from different planets, and it's always like each race has one, maybe two, if both species are in opposition of each other, like species and culture.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, that if you are from Vulcan, you all are Vulcans that believe the same Vulcan ideals. There's no such thing as like
which I can hand wave that fine. I understand that that's shorthand to just like,
I find it like weird because it's part of like, especially in Star Trek, it's a thinking exercise that then is like ignoring the parts that I find the actual fascinating thinking exercise. But like in this, like, I don't know, Earth is always special. In the comics, it's always like Earth is the planet where super beings come into play. No other planet does that. And if it is, it's like one or two of them.
mm-hmm.
But in Earth, like there's a billion of them. And I don't know, Earth is always the center of everything. In the DC universe, I remember Earth is like the center of the multiverse. And it's just,
it's also another weird thing with the Eternals. I like I mean, it's not true because we learned that Olympia isn't real, but like, and they're not real, but like, I like the idea, I'm actually really interested in like looking at some of these like Jack Kirby Eternals or, seeing what like big Eternal stories are, see if there's anything worth reading, because I do kind of like the idea of this like progenitor of humanity and stuff like that. But shit, where was I going with this? We were just talking about something and then I lost it.
progenitor of humanity. The Eternals are on Olympia.
Oh, I like how it's like implied. So it's implied that the celestial seed killed the dinosaurs. It's implied that the Eternals are like the reason that we have religions. I mean, hence the whole Olympia, and then it's like Athena, and she's supposed to be Athena, and Gilgamesh, like they're all like these mythological heroes, and they all tell, that's why we have these myth stories. And I like that idea. I think that's a fun idea. But kind of like with, I mean, Thor as a whole doesn't work because it's one of those things where it's like, how does religion work in the MCU if Thor is real?
Thor is even mentioned in this. I think it's Gilgamesh says something about how Thor grew up on stories of him, and now he won't return his calls or something. Maybe it's Kingo says it. I don't remember.
One of them,
it's when they're all sitting.
Yeah, one of them
dinner.
mentions Thor as like, oh yeah, like I remember hanging out with him. But it's also weird because like, so like Thor is a real thing, and Asgard is a real thing, and like the Norse pantheon is a real thing, but then nothing else seems to be.
I mean, I guess theoretically we could go far enough to see that like all religions stem from outside influences on Earth, be it the Eternals or the Asgardians or, I don't know, fucking Jesus. Like,
was Jesus Croesus?
We could learn that
you didn't like that?
I don't know what that was.
It was a nice little pun on Jesus, the first son of God, and Kree, an alien super race.
Oh, I gotcha. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Like,
I
we
can't
could
believe
learn.
If this was tomorrow, you would tell me this joke and you'd be like, this is the funniest thing I've ever thought of. And you're just not giving me shit. Icarus looks like fucking John Stamos.
I don't know. We could learn that there are more religions that stem from outside influences on Earth or what have you, but I don't know. I didn't understand the movie. It was fine. It's fine. Their spaceship looks stupid, but it looks stupid in like kind of a like that is absolutely a Jack Kirby designed spaceship where it's just like weird looking, just like a flat triangle. And then Icarus flies into the sun like he does in the story.
Oh, I think I actually lost you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I thought you were doing a bit. I just saw your message that said you thought I was doing a bit. I thought you were doing a bit where you were really quiet for a while.
No, that's what I thought. I thought you were.
I have no idea what I was
mad that
saying.
I told you a joke that you would have made and found hilarious, but I told it to you and you're like, this is the worst stupid thing ever.
No, I thought it was a fine joke. I just didn't.
Oh, maybe I cut out when you laughed.
I didn't laugh. Don't worry. Didn't cut that out. I don't know.
I mean, I don't believe in any of it, but like, I like the idea that, and this is totally off base, but this is what we were talking about. I like the idea of aliens, like ancient aliens,
Influencing culture and
being religion, and
I think it's a fun sci-fi thing.
What now?
Huh?
I'm making jokes and you're not biting, so I'm just gonna stop.
It doesn't help that like both jokes you made, I didn't understand what they were until you explained them to me.
I mean, I thought you liked Marvel. Crisis is, I think, very
I
simple.
just didn't think of the Kree. I thought you were just rhyming Jesus, and then when you're like, I made a pun, and I was like, a rhyme isn't.
I don't just rhyme things all the time. And then I said Icarus looks like John Stamos.
You did say that. I disagree. I mean, I can see why you say that, but
and then,
I don't know. He's in Game of Thrones. I think he looks a lot like Kit Harington because they played brothers on Game of Thrones. So they have the same, like, I don't know, generic brown-haired guy. Kit Harington has no point in this movie.
He's the Black Knight. He makes me excited for the next Marvel movie.
He is, I think, he's not as bad as Hawkeye's introduction in Thor, but he reminds me of Hawkeye's introduction in Thor, where he is literally just there to be like, ooh, get ready for this to be a thing at some point. But like his thing doesn't even like matter until he is a completely nobody doesn't matter character up until at the end when he's like, I have a secret. And then he is just like, he never gets to say the secret. And it doesn't matter. It's just a setup so it's not completely out of left field when they do the end credits thing where he like has a sword. And I was just like, I don't care. Like,
well, there is the bit at the beginning. I mean, this doesn't challenge your complaint, which I agree with. But there is the bit at the beginning where she gives him the ring and is like, this is from the Middle Ages.
Yeah. I will say with how this ends, where I was really confused because it felt like we ended and then it kind of kept going for a bit and then the Eternal showed up and was like, I'm going to judge. And then I was like, are we not done yet? I don't care about Eternals 2. That said, I do care more of just like Marvel Universe movies. Not in general, I don't care about Marvel Universe movies because they're all going to be bland or whatever. But like, kind of like you said about, you know, how the Earth is changed by Marvel events. I'm more interested in the Eternals just kind of like showing up and stuff. I don't think they have another story to tell, but I think they have like
parts to play,
scenes to have, parts to play as part of just like the Marvel, because like I was really thinking of it because of Kit Harington's bit where like he is not part of the Eternals movie. He has nothing to do with the Eternals. His whole I've got a magic sword thing has absolutely nothing to do with anything going on with any of them. But he's a part of just like the Marvel universe existing as the Marvel universe.
Well, I thought that with the Mobius trailer, because you see Adrian Toomes, you see another guy, I don't remember. But like, it was something that I was thinking about how we've said in the past that let villains kind of live and be a part of the universe, let people just kind of show, like, it's hard because we're sitting here complaining that Kit Harington doesn't have a role in this. But then again, his role being unimportant is interesting because everybody's always interesting.
It's weird.
Or everyone's always important, not necessarily interesting.
Kit Harington's bit at the end where he has the sword is one of the worst and most interesting parts of the movie for me because it is a cameo for cameo's sake. Well, and to set up a role in something later, but it is a setup that has nothing to do with what's going on in the movie. Nothing whatsoever. It is completely unrelated, and because of that, it is Marvel. It's like jarring and weird in a way that makes the Marvel universe kind of annoying. But at the same time, it's interesting to just like have this unrelated thing happening in this movie because it is part of a universe where magic is a thing, along with this like sci-fi universe spanning celestial nonsense. Mm-hmm. And so like it is simultaneously like bad and good in like two different directions at the same time for me. And I don't know. Like,
and it also doesn't help that like I said, the MCU doesn't have a history of having stuff like Kit Harington, who is outside the plot, but is like a teaser. Like again, everybody's
teasers are like
everybody's always
characters
important.
That have been there forever.
Yeah, everyone's all like if it's a bit part, it's either like I mean, I guess I don't know. Is it that much different than Taika Waititi and Thor Ragnarok and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Like it's a
like Crag and everything.
Yeah, like
I think so because I guess in the end he's not like he is a side character for that movie. He has nothing to do outside. Like he's part of Thor's stuff.
That's fair. Yeah.
Kit Harington is not. Like he's part of
Cersei,
Gemma Chan's stuff. But like
that's fair.
Honestly, he's the same as like he is no real different than like the students in her class at the beginning. He is just a character for her to interact with to show that she has a life outside of what's going on in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But like Korg or whatever his name was, like he's part of Thor's thing. He plays a part in the action at the end, and
he's like a side or tertiary.
He's a comedy character, so like he has lines, he has jokes. He's a character that you remember because he has something to do, and he's kind of fun to see. But like Kit is just there. He's just there to do his thing, and then he is 100% gone from the movie. He shows up one other time to be on a Skype call with her, and then you never see him again until the end. Mm-hmm. And like I said, that teaser at the end is weird because it's jarring and has nothing to do with anything, but it's also fun because it just makes the universe feel lived in a way that these movies haven't really done yet. Yeah. Like you said, everybody's important, everything's connected, and in the end, you could say this is the same as like, of course he's important, everybody's important.
But he's not important yet.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, like, you're right, he is important. He's not just a nobody that we're watching, but at the same time, like, he's not connected to any of this stuff. He's got his own thing that's happening, and it's weird, and I find that interesting. Out of everything that happens in this movie, I'm interested in seeing him put on a fucking black suit of armor and fly a Pegasus around, which he probably won't do. He'll probably just swing that sword. We also see Thanos' brother Eros, also known as Star Fox, and I don't understand. As far as these movies ever cared, Thanos is just like a big purple alien man. But now, is he an Eternal as well? Because Eros is an Eternal. So was Thanos an Eternal that like went rogue?
But isn't it like
Why is he purple?
Maybe it's a Gamora Nebula thing.
Like maybe, but like why would Eros have like an adopted brother? Like when they're eternal, never aging, like I could see him having a family on a planet, but like where does the rest of this come into play? And I'm like, I don't know, Eternals 2 or whatever they show up in could explain this, but at this point in time, I don't understand this connection. As Thanos was just an alien, as far as I understood. In fact, let's look at, and then Pip the Troll is like, I mean, he could just be an alien on the planet that Eros was on, but like, where's Eros? Eros, Star Fox, first man, blah, 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 blah. He was born on Titan, where he is the son of Mentor. He is depicted as a member of a human offshoot race known as the Eternals. He was born on Titan, where he's the son of Mentor. He is opposed to his mad brother Thanos. So is Thanos also an Eternal?
Maybe Eros is Eternal by name only. Maybe he wasn't created by a Celestial.
I mean, maybe, but and I'm going off the comic book lore, but it says he is part of the race known as the Eternals. I don't know if you can be part of a race by name only. I don't know. It was just something I was thinking of. I don't really know. I know Eros and Thanos have like similarities with Darkseid, and like Darkseid has an adopted son, and I thought that's what Eros and Thanos were like adopted siblings, but I don't actually know. But it's just weird because he's not a purple man. Thanos is a purple man, and Thanos seems to just like be a generic alien purple man, but maybe he's an Eternal, and I don't know, maybe Eros went to a planet where he needed to look human, but Thanos went to a planet where he needed to look like a big purple great man. The grimmest planet. I don't know. It was just a question. I'm sure there's an answer. Maybe the movies care, maybe they don't, but
I mean, how long?
I didn't get it.
How long do you think the MCU is going to care about Thanos? Forever?
Forever. They care about everything. Everything is the biggest thing that ever happened. They're going to care about Thanos forever. At some point, he's going to come back to life. Someone's going to wish there's going to be a deviant Thanos that comes back, and he gets the Infinity-esque gauntlet, and he snaps all his fingers, and then 75% of the universe disappears. And they're like, oh no, what are we going to do?
I hope not. I mean, I know they will. I mean, and like, Thanos is a big thing in the MCU.
I mean, I'm joking. I don't think he'll really show up again.
No, but
outside of like a TV show thing. But he's always going to be referenced. He's the biggest thing to happen
in movies ever.
Yes, he's just like such a big deal that you're constantly going to get stuff that reference the snap or the blip or the Thanos.
I guess I've moved past that. If the universe doesn't care, if the MCU doesn't care about what actually happened in that time, then I don't care about the snap. Like the snap was just a MacGuffin to make the Avengers hurt him.
The snap was just a MacGuffin for a cliffhanger, so that everybody could get excited for Endgame.
Because they couldn't just make a 6-hour movie.
Anyway, I think that's kind of it.
Okay, can we talk about how the fact that Cersei freezes the Celestial, Tiamat, and then Icarus is just like, sorry, bye, and flies into the sun?
Yes, what do you want to say about it?
It looks so
He says bye,
stupid.
Flies into the sun. It does.
Same thing with Cersei flown into the Celestial at the end. When they're just like, oh, look, it's Erishim, he's come. And then she's just like, bye, and flies into space.
That was just to remove all of those characters from the universe so that the next big movie that happens, they no longer have a reason to not
They don't have to have
a
throwaway line of like, why didn't you save us from Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania?
But he only like comes and summons 3 of them, and then the other 3 are in a spaceship. Because he takes her, Kingo, and I don't remember who the other one that he takes.
Druag, Makar,
I think Thena, because Druig, Makari, and
Phantos
Phastos
are on the spaceship. Because they're like, why did Phastos go? He has like an actual family.
I don't know, but he grabs the Eternal grabs Cersei.
Was Thena on the ship?
Kingo.
Or Thena on the ship?
No, I think she was the 3rd one that was grabbed by
Arishem.
Yeah, but I don't know why. I don't know why he grabbed anybody other than Cersei. She's the one, like, Kingo abstained entirely. Why would he grab him?
He abducts Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo. So they're still all on Earth.
Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo? Oh, then it must have been Thena that was on the ship.
Yeah. Thena, Makari, and Druig depart for space. Why didn't Sprite stay with Cersei?
She wanted to live her own life now that she can be human.
But she stays with Kingo. She goes with Kingo.
Because she really wanted to be in a Bollywood movie?
I just thought that was weird since, like, they started the movie together.
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. It's whatever. And then at the end, Kit Harington opens an old chest with the ebony blade in it, and then some voice from behind him asks him if he like, really wants to do that. And I don't know who that voice is, and I find it... Maybe?
It is.
I don't know if that's some... Oh, really?
It is.
Oh. So maybe he's going to show up in Blade's movie? I guess I find that annoying to have, like, a character speak and not see them, especially if the reveal isn't, like, I don't know. It's weird to me.
You just want to hate that.
I don't know. I find it annoying in a way that I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
I guess it's a tease in a way. It's a tease for the sake of a tease, I guess.
Yeah, but so is
at that
Kit
point
Harington.
either don't
you like that.
But I get to see the sword. Like, with the tease of the sword, it's like I know what this is teasing. Like, he's gonna, like, even if I don't know who the Black Knight is, like, he's got a sword. It's very clearly magical because, you know, it's got the runes on it, and it was like it shimmers, and like I think it like the blade like moves towards him, or I don't know. It does, and it's like wrapped in like there's something where I can be like I can infer something from this, but the voice is just a voice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who it is. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's the owner of the blade or fucking actual blade or whatever. I find that tease to be obnoxious, I guess.
So you were fine with it until I said it was Blade?
No, I didn't like it before. Now that I know that it's Blade, I find it even more annoying because I think just show me Blade. You've got whatever his name is that's playing Blade to show up to do that. Like, I was probably in a recording booth or something, but like, I don't know, put him in the costume. And I know they don't want to show the costume, but I guess at that point, I would leave the voice out. I would just have him reach towards the blade and then cut to black. And I feel like that's an adequate tease. I find the addition of a voice, and I find it even more annoying knowing that it's Blade, but I find the addition of a voice to be irritating. But I guess if you know that it's Blade, then that means fans know that it's Blade, which means that the fans get an additional tease knowing that he's probably going to show up in the Blade movie, and then there's all the, you know, fan theories, and they're all on their keyboards going
They're talking
nuts
about it on Twitter.
Yeah, so I guess I get why. I just personally find that kind of stuff irritating.
It's funny, that's one of those
like
things that I don't
blueballing.
care. Like, I don't know, it's just a voice. I understand the idea of like, hey, here's a thing, and like, Kit Harington's going to be a thing. And even if you don't know who the Black Knight is, like, he's got a cool sword, and then a voice, and it's like, who's that? I don't know, it doesn't bug me.
I don't know. I guess it does bug me.
That's what all these movies do.
Seth, give me 2 put-ups and a put-down.
As much as I hated the Deviants, I liked the beginning, and this kind of flows into what we were saying with the last episode of What If, where they all kind of like, seeing a team work together like that is a lot of fun for me. And I think that's the only time they do it, because all the other times they fight Deviants, they kind of fight them 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 or whatever, and it's just kind of like boring, but it's, I don't know, it's fun to see a super team up and take down a bigger foe. My second put up is going to be, I liked Druig's role. We didn't really talk much into like the specifics and all this stuff.
What is Druig's role? Because I didn't feel like I didn't understand what his role was. I felt like he didn't, like a lot of these characters, I felt like they didn't really have a thing to do. They like forced a scene out of them to pretend that they had a purpose, but I didn't really feel like they explained that like somehow using his powers with the hive mind thing would allow him to control the deviant, but then he doesn't do that.
Because he gets blasted in the back by Icarus.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, he doesn't do that. But even then, like, when he gets blasted in the back, he's like, hey, I'm fine now. I helped, he helps Cersei take out.
See, I agree at the end when Cersei, he's just like, okay, Cersei, this is your job. But to be fair, he did get blasted in, like, the middle of the earth by Icarus.
Yeah, but he did get back out, and he seemed to be fine. I think he could have...
But we don't know, like, the process. Like, I guess I'm fine with, like, I think it's weird when he just kind of shows up with the rock and takes out Sprite, and then is just like, all right, Cersei, you're up, because I can't do this. But, like, they could have worked together, I feel like.
I felt like that might have been, maybe not, because it also is a scene explaining, like, he's fine. Because up until that point, like, everybody kind of seems to believe that he's dead. But I also had so much trouble keeping track of stuff that when he showed up, it took me a while to realize, oh yeah, he was, like, burrowed into the earth. I feel like maybe that was originally for Kingo, but then...
Kingo was like, I got another movie to do.
Yeah, he just couldn't, like, show up. Because, like I said, Kingo disappears and never shows up again, and I kept thinking, like, he's going to show up in the last moment and save the day. Then he doesn't. Especially because since he's not really scummy, but he's kind of, like, vain. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not like he's not the character that I would believe to help, but, like, it felt like that would have been, like, a natural progression of his, like, of a supposed character arc that never happened.
You know, as much as we complain, here's my second put up. As much as we complain about people like this, I'm kind of doing it right now, where I think the movie is fine. I think, you know, it has problems. I don't think it, I mean, we just played A Way Out. I think it's better than A Way Out. But I think it's very similar in just how, like, there's a million problems in this movie, and there's some, like, decent things that expanded on or executed differently or better would work really well. And I think Druig is one of those. I mentioned it with Kingo, where he has, like, his little bit at the end where he leaves the movie, which again is like, well, why does he leave the movie? Like, but the idea, I mean, I think there's a lot of good character ideas in here. I actually really liked when they're all trying to figure out how to handle Tiamat and, like, plan that. Kingo's valet is just like, I just want to thank you guys for doing everything you like. That's a neat, I think that's a fun scene. And as much as I was, like, wishy-washy on Kingo's valet anyways, and I didn't really find his jokes that funny or interesting or anything like that, and he was just kind of, like, thrown in the movie when he was needed, and when he wasn't needed, he was just kind of, like, forgotten about. But I thought that was a good scene where he's in the ship and he's just like, I just want to, like, Kingo's like, come on, we gotta go. And he's just like, I just want you guys to know that, like, as a human, you guys are very good. And it's something that, like, it was nice. I mean, I'm probably biased because I think the team is fun. I don't think, like, they got enough out of them in this 2.5 hour movie that I would have liked. But again, I find them more interesting than the Avengers. And so I think giving him that moment of, hey, thanks for what you guys do. I know you guys are, like, kind of dysfunctional. You know, one of your teammates just said he was going to go destroy the world, and you guys are all kind of flabbergasted and all that stuff, but, like, thanks for what you do. Whereas the Avengers are just always fine and always good and always the pinnacle of heroism for the most part. I don't know. You probably have problems with it, and honestly, I probably do too, but I felt like that was a good scene. Anyways, my put down, I kind of did 3 put-ups, which is rare. My put down is going to be, I think for being 2.5 hours, it feels long. It doesn't accomplish everything. I think everything it sets out to do well. I think, like, the story itself has a lot of cracks and problems in it that are probably why I appreciate these smaller character things, because everything else is kind of not great. Whereas, like, I think in a lot of the other of these movies, I have a lot of problems with a lot of things. And even, like, the small character bits, I always feel like are fairly bad and whatnot. But here, I'll take them.
My first put up is going to be, as much as I complained about how everybody's powers don't make sense, everybody has different powers. I think they're fine to good. A lot of them go into that, like, kind of like the Doctor Strange armor from What If, where they just, like, summon, like, a light line art around them. That was, like, a little visually boring, but it was, like, kind of a neat idea. But, like, I like the different powers. I also, like, special shout out, I really liked Icarus's flying because it's weird. He's always, like, completely straight. He does a lot of stuff where he kind of, like, stands completely 100% straight at a 90-degree angle and just kind of, like,
floats around,
flies like that. Yeah. It's weird and awkward in a way.
It's like moving a 3D object around in space, not necessarily like...
Yeah, like he was just, like, clicked and dragged. I thought it was really cool and interesting. Every time he was flying around, I thought it was fun because he's so weirdly rigid in a way that I thought was kind of cool and different. He didn't just look like Superman with his arms straight out. He's like, it's kind of like, I don't know.
And that's why I thought it looked so goofy when he flew into the sun and when Cersei flew into the Celestial, because they don't, like, react to air moving around. They're just like, okay, bye.
But I thought his flying was cool looking. Second put up, I think this is the least Marvel movie we've seen. Mm-hmm. It feels very, very different. It doesn't have a lot of that. Yeah. Shang-Chi still felt like a Marvel movie. It still had the Marvel muck. It had the weird Marvel bloat at the end. I mean, this movie is bloated, and there is a fight at the end, but that fight had purpose. as opposed to just like having like two armies fight each other and then a bunch of CGI monsters showing up. Like there was fighting with a goal, and the goal was not the fight itself.
I do like how Tiamat was like, I know like Tiamat didn't matter, and it was just kind of like a movie where it's like, oh, the villain's gonna set off a bomb.
I thought they were gonna have to fight Tiamat, and they don't.
And I like that.
Yeah. But like I feel like this is the least Marvel, even like the Marvel like quippiness that you normally hate. I don't really feel as like it's in this as
but
much as
it's only
any
really kind of
Marvel
Kingo
movie. Yeah, there's a couple like little lines here and there, but it's mostly from Kingo,
who feels appropriate with.
Yeah, and the goofy comic relief character is his like assistant with the camera, but like even then, like he's not as obnoxious as most of those characters. I think like as much as I think this movie is like I said, it's completely middle of the road. It's not good. It's not bad. It's completely fine. Like I feel like it's a step in the right direction for the Marvel movies, which leads into my put down. This movie has 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. People really don't seem to like it that much. It's a Marvel movie, so it's still successful, I'm sure.
Last I heard, that was all because people were like, two guys kiss in this movie.
I mean, there's probably a lot of that, but I also I had two people walk out of the movie.
When the guys kissed?
No, fairly early on. Within, I think, the first hour or so. I had two people walk out. I can see a lot of people not liking this, and I could see, I mean, I understand this is a business. I could see the studio going like, they don't like it because of, X or Y reasons. It doesn't have the quippy fun stuff that all the movies have. It doesn't have the big stupid CGI battle. I could see them seeing that the problem is that it's different, where I think the best things in this movie is how different it is. Like I said, I think the movie's not great. It has a lot of problems, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. And I think, like I said, I think this movie could have been completely saved by being a TV show. Then the weird pacing stuff isn't as bad because I'm not watching a 2-hour movie, 2.5-hour movie that's like picking up and abandoning plot stuff every once in a while. It's just like lurching and, lurching forward and then hitting the brakes and lurching forward again. And instead you have an episode. Kingo's thing, he could leave the show and not show up again, but you could have an episode about him that gives him his time and his due and explains like, this character is leaving, and then I feel satisfied with why he's leaving. Instead of like Kumail Nanjiani had, another obligation. I mean, maybe this was written into the plot that he leaves, and they were like, we want someone to abstain from the violence. But like, it felt like he just had something else he had to do that day. He was filming something, and he had to go. And it's awkward and weird. But like, I feel like in a TV show, a lot of the problems I have, I feel like these characters could have been developed better so that I could understand who they are and what they do and what they think. I could have, like, when characters died in this, I didn't feel anything because I didn't really know them. We don't spend a lot of time with any of them. I was honestly surprised Angelina Jolie lived through the movie because I kept thinking she was going to die because I was like, we haven't really spent a lot of time with her. I don't really know who she is. She has the mind clout or whatever they called it. I like that idea of, like, they live so long that their memories, like, overlap each other to the point that they start, like, getting delusional. But, like, it only happens with her and it doesn't really seem to matter. Long short bit of this is, like, my put down is I feel like it is going to be received and reacted to harsher than it deserves. I could see Marvel never making another movie like this again, and they make more Marvel muck because that's the stuff that people fucking eat up. But I want more movies like this. I want slower movies. I want weirder movies. I want movies that try something different. And this one is different.
It's funny because I agree. And this is a hard one for me because, again, I think it's really boring. I think it's really slow. I think it's convoluted. I think there's fun bit character parts that work really well for me. And it's kind of like, I probably have a little bit of a holier than thou bit with that because is that really all that different from the people who watch something like this and say, it's so boring, it's so convoluted, but I like the scenes where heroes punched CGI monsters.
I mean, I guess that's true. I think the difference between that and us is there's a million movies that do that.
But there's also a million movies that, I mean, not a million Marvel movies that do this.
I guess that's the thing. It's the Marvel.
But we don't need to watch Marvel.
Like,
I don't go see Fast 10 for...
No, I say in the end, like, the truth is, we've had this talk before, but, like, we don't need to be watching these movies. They're not made for us. We know they're not made for us. But in a certain way, they are. Like, I'm a comic book fan. I've been reading comic books since I'm a kid. But, like, I don't like these movies that are, in theory, made for me. I mean, they're not. They're made for general audiences, but like...
You're a comic fan, and so you should be the target. You should be part of that target audience. But I was reading some one-star reviews on IMDb, and, going through them, they're all just like, movie has no substance, a deranged someone might call a plot. Rest is total, like, there's 15 minutes at the beginning, rest is total boring. And it's like, none of that's really wrong.
Yeah, I think also some of it is just like they see it as, again, it's the absence of the Marvel stuff that they all love, and for you and me, the highlight
is that it's moving away from that Marvel DNI.
It's the absence of the Marvel stuff. It's not doing it necessarily well, but it's trying, and god damn it, I want to give it credit. Credit where credit's due.
This is weird too, but like I know I saw one that was like, this is more, I don't know, they mentioned woke, and I just like, I know I'm probably more accepting, but I just don't feel like this is woke. I felt like, I mean, you went into a thing that I don't necessarily disagree with, where Makari doesn't quite make sense in terms of her origin, but I think she does. I think it's like, it doesn't feel, I don't know, like, I guess this stuff doesn't feel forced to me. It's just kind of like, as someone who can hear and speak, and I don't know a lick of sign language, and I have not really had any like acquaintances or anybody who have been deaf, like, it was neat to see that on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't disagree. Although one thing I was thinking early, and I didn't say it, but I was thinking early when the movie started. I don't know, because I don't know sign language, American Sign Language or otherwise. I didn't know if she was at the beginning speaking or utilizing like
Eternal Sign Language
ASL or
ASL?
anything. Yeah, just because
I assume that was real.
I didn't know if they made
language.
up their own. I thought that was
I
weird
think
because it was before, like, I can understand, like, in a movie, people can speak English, and I'm just like, they're speaking whatever language they need to be speaking, but I'm hearing English because I'm an English-speaking audience, and they're speaking so that I can understand and follow the movie and don't have to read subtitles. But with the sign language thing, that's actual, like, movements with your hand that I was like, if she's using American Sign Language, then that doesn't exist yet, and I highly doubt she invented it. So, like, it was weird to me, and it's a complete nitpick. And I might even be an asshole for thinking about it, but it was just like a thought.
It's just one of those things where, like, in universe, like her character, it doesn't quite make sense, and it shouldn't be American Sign Language. I can only imagine it is American Sign Language, because I feel like I would have heard a lot more people complain that, like, they're just making up hands. Like, you can't do that.
I mean, to be fair, she only really needed to do it. She's not in a lot, like, she's in a lot of the flashbacks, but I can't think of her speaking too often,
and they're supposed to guide humanity
too often. There's a couple of them.
Sign language, so that.
But the other thing is, like, sign language isn't one language. There's American Sign Language. There's sign language for different languages. So,
but I
mean, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
And then she lived in an English-speaking spaceship. But I was going to say something off of that.
You're going to say something awful?
No, off of that. Whatever. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I'm kind of skimming through these reviews, and like, Marvel must get rid of this lame formula, cheesy jokes every 5 minutes in every freaking of their movies. And I feel like this has jokes, but it doesn't feel as forced, I guess. And maybe it's because the rest of the movie feels different.
And I guess that's the thing. It's like, Marvel movies feel like there's a quip every second, like you always say. You know, every tender moment or quiet moment has to be cut with, you know, like, someone
I don't even
ripping
think
a fart.
Icarus or Cersei
I didn't feel like this
even
had
said
that.
a joke, which I feel like is unheard of for Marvel movies. Like, it was like delegated to Kit and Kingo and Kingo's valet.
Yeah, I didn't feel like there were jokes every 2 seconds. I actually thought, like, there weren't very many at all. There are very few. And most of them were, like, you know, the typical conversational jokes that I feel like just exist in every movie everywhere. But everyone wasn't a quip machine. Before we do our rankings, I have another question for you. Did this deserve to be seen in a theater? Did you have the true movie-going experience that can only be experienced in Cinemark movie theaters around America?
The first part of your question, no. Second part of your question, yes. I mean, that's not wrong. I can only experience a bad angle and listening to people eat popcorn in my ear. And
I did not have, normally I have problems with the audience. I did not have an issue with the audience except for the 2 people that left and walked right in front of me. But beyond that, I always just, like, when it's dark, it is impossible to see what the fuck. It's the same thing whenever I start up, like, a new game. It always asks you to, like, adjust the brightness, and it's always like, always adjust so you can't see the symbol. Adjust it so you can't see either symbol in either square. And I'm like, so you want me to just, like, fucking not be able to see? I always turn the brightness up in those games because I can't fucking see anything.
I always play them how they're intended.
I can't see.
And I know
shit.
This is like, if our listeners met me in real life, they would be like, this guy's a total dick. But I just, like, can't get over the fact that, like, I can't handle going to a movie theater and my theater experience being like, there's, like, an alpaca on the screen and people are like, it's an alpaca. And I'm just like we were talking about yesterday with, like, internet comments. I'm just like, why did you need to make that comment? Why can't you just hold it to yourself? just a weird thing with me.
I mean, I agree. No one should fucking speak during a movie.
I mean, I understand laughing at jokes. I understand that, like, people find different things funny. And so, like, yeah, it's kind of, I have a little bit of a holier than thou thing when people laugh at a joke that I'm just like, that's not even funny. That's like just a line in a movie. But I understand that people have different levels, but there's just like, people just live entirely different lives than us. Here's my other segment. I don't think this is our first movie we watched, our first Marvel movie we watched in theaters. But now that we're getting close to having to watch this,
both of us?
Is this the first movie I went into the theaters for this?
Yeah, Black Widow and Shang-Chi we watched.
But you went to the theater with Black Widow.
I went to the
theater.
And
and around that time, I think I went to the theater with Green Knight. So I had a theater going experience. But now that we're getting into the point where we're going to have to go into a movie theater and watch these, here's my segment, if you would like.
Is it a new segment called Can You Quit?
With the trailers, what is the next movie you're excited to see in theaters?
Absolutely
you
none
have to
of
pick
them.
one of the trailers.
I'm trying to think what I saw.
I saw Mobius, Sing 2, which I thought there was like 4 Sing movies, but I guess not. Sing 2, Moonfall.
I don't even know what Moonfall is. I saw The Kingsman.
Oh, Kingsman. Is that related to Kingsman?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but I was confused that it like didn't have a subtitle and it was just The Kingsman. And I was like, I didn't think this was like, this feels like a reboot name.
The Gucci movie, Sing 2.
I don't think I had a trailer for the Gucci movie. Maybe I had Moonfall instead of the Gucci movie.
And West Side Story.
And I had a West Side Story. So yeah. You have...
I guess between those, I guess the movie I'm most interested to see is The Kingsman, but not enough to go to a theater. So I guess I have to say, because I told it to you earlier, out of any movie that felt like it was like made to be watched on a big screen, that they always
and
say,
I say what movie are you going to watch in a theater as a sarcastic quip.
No, I know, but like I felt
you could
like
just say which movie you're the most interested
you said I had
in.
to pick one.
Yeah, you had to pick the movie that.
Then I guess the Kingsman.
Kingsman. You know what? I'm going to blow everyone's freaking mind.
Is it Morbius? I thought Morbius, the news trailer for it looked kind of stupid fun.
I'm going to say Morbius because here's the thing. Kingsman, close second. Kingsman feels like, and I didn't watch any of the other two. I know they're good movies. I'm sure they are good. I just haven't watched them. It feels like the old Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. Like, it feels like that action movie, which I feel like I've seen before. I can take it or leave it, whatever. I think that's a big reason why I haven't seen the first two Kingsmen. But watching that, I was just like, I feel like I've seen this movie. I feel like I've seen these action scenes, things like that. Morbius, I feel like I've seen that movie, but it looks kind of bonkers.
I had zero interest until the newest trailer that I watched. And I think I told you, like, I watched the trailer a while ago just out of curiosity because I hadn't seen anything for the movie. And it looks like you said, like, kind of bonkers.
It looks a little fun, which Marvel movies aren't for me. It looks kind of, I mean, do you think at some point in the movie they're going to say he's a living vampire, or do you think they're going to hide from that?
No, they're going to fucking say it. Like, that movie, that felt like a movie that just, like, didn't care.
It doesn't feel like a Marvel movie.
Something
it feels like a schlocky...
It feels like a movie that came out of, like, the late 90s, early 2000s.
Like
where
Faust,
just, like,
Love of the Damned. Like,
yeah.
It feels so dumb. And I don't know. As much as I...
Are we going to watch Morbius for this podcast?
Is it part of the MCU?
I mean, Adrian Toomes appears to be in it. I don't know if that's actually him or not.
No, it looked like it. And there was the Spider-Man thing. There was, like, the one... I think it's in the universe.
If we do that, then we're going to have to see Venom and Venom 2.
No.
We got to go all the way in. Venom, I'm pretty sure Venom, like, by the end of Venom 2 connects to the Marvel Universe. I'm not sure, though.
Is Venom Let There Be Carnage part of the MCU? Cassaday then transforms into Carnage, Venom's offspring and greatest rival from the comics. Jonah Jameson himself is on the television talking about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, whose image appears on screen, confirming that Venom has now entered the MCU through no action of their own.
We gotta watch them.
No, that's stupid.
Venom is like more like, I think part of why I'm interested in Morbius is because I saw the first Venom movie and it's so stupid. It's not good, but it's like stupid in a way that like at least 80% of its runtime I was laughing.
I don't think
it's like stupid fun.
I don't think we'd see it for this. Maybe when we catch up, like we said, we're trying to figure out what we're doing in between. When we finally catch up and we don't have content, we're gonna
I guess I don't need to see Morbius right out the gate, but I guess if we're looking for something, I'd be interested in seeing Venom 2, just because I liked Venom 1 as like a guilty pleasure sort of garbage movie, and Morbius looks like it's in that same, his like whole like vampire thing where his like face warps and he has like all of his stupid powers when he's like flying down the
subway
train tunnels.
That's stupid.
Yeah. It's So stupid. I love
And
it.
while that and Venom might be like tangentially in the Marvel Universe, which I wish they would just kind of just say it. And I guess maybe it is doing what we want, where it's like, it is in the universe, but it's not part of the main event books.
It's on the fringes.
Yeah, but it is not part of the Ant-Man and the Wasp's Quantumanium storyline.
So Seth, where do you put this in your ranking of every Marvel movie ever?
I have it. It could probably go above it, whatever. I don't care. I have it underneath Shang-Chi. I think the biggest thing was... I guess I think I said Shang-Chi was boring as well. I did. But I like the WoE stuff in Shang-Chi, whereas I felt the best stuff in Eternals for me was the character stuff, which I think was not as great as the WoE stuff in Shang-Chi. But they were both boring. They both wasted my time. And so I have it underneath Shang-Chi and above Doctor Strange.
As usual, each movie is graded on a different scale than the other movies. It's only really graded around the movies immediately nearby it. Because I didn't like this movie, but I liked things in this movie. So in the end, I put it at number 11 underneath Captain America, the First Avenger, right above WandaVision, which basically firmly puts it, that's like anything out of my top 10 as of right now is like where we go into like not quite good territory. Like something is holding it back from being good, but there's, I think from 10 to 20, you're in like not good, but there's like stuff in there that I like.
That's fair.
And then from there down, it's all stuff that I don't like and have problems with. Like this is honestly at 31 different entries right now. This is almost divided into 3/3 where you go from my good top 10, my
has things
fine to mediocre middle of like there's good stuff in there, and then the bottom 10 are all like
unredeemable.
They might still have good stuff in there, but like I did not like them because it's above WandaVision. I think it needed to be a TV show, and I think if it was a TV show, I think it would have succeeded where WandaVision and all the other TV shows have failed. And I put it right under First Avenger, which was the first Marvel movie we watched that I think I really, really, really enjoyed.
Eternals is weird, like we keep saying, where I agree. I don't think it's a great movie. And I think there's a lot of these movies that aren't great and I think have like poorly executed ideas and ideas that aren't all that interesting. But this, I think, had ideas that were executed at various levels. I don't think they were ever executed great, but they were executed fine at points. And there's just something, I think I do stand on my statement of, since this is very different from a lot of the Marvel movies, I think those interesting moments are more interesting because while it wasn't great of a movie, it wasn't the same thing that I've been watching with interesting things. It was something different with interesting things. If it was just another run-of-the-mill Marvel movie, I probably wouldn't be as interested in those small bits.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with Interference.
Watcher.
Seth, now that the mics are off, what are we watching next time?
I didn't cut you off. We are going to be watching Marvel Studios' Hawkeye. Is it Hawkeye or Hawkeye? Remember that joke? Or did they have it in it? Is it in the show? We're going to watch
Probably.
Never Meet Your Heroes. To be fair, that's a good joke. I think it works better in a comic because it's the written page.